Hi and welcome. Thanks for joining me today. I'm Jen, and today we are talking about the opening of the Lionsgate portal. The Lionsgate portal opened on July 29th, and it opened with a bang, literally with the bang of Thor's hammer. And that's an aspect. We'll get into that a little bit later. And along with the full moon in Aquarius, the sun conjuncting Jupiter and Venus squaring Mars. So lots of energy going on this day. And this is an alignment of the sun in Leo, the fixed star of Sirius, Orion's belt, and the Earth. And it will be at its peak opening. So it opens on the 29th, but it will reach its peak on August 8th. Yes, 8-8. So remember those numbers because 8 is very important with this numerology, whatever. Anyway, you know what I mean. Closing on the 12th, and that is the day of our total solar eclipse in the sign of Leo. So this is a 2-week period, and this is a period of just metaphysical phenomenon and a time of spiritual awakening responsibilities really up to the highest of standards that can lead to infinite potential and a lasting legacy if you work with the energy. Sirius is the brightest star in the sky. And it is said in Christianity that Sirius was the planet or the star that the three wise men followed to find the, the newborn baby Jesus. And the three in line in Orion, you have the three stars in its belt, and those are said to represent in Christianity the gifts that were given by the three wise men, which were gold, frankincense, myrrh. So to harness the energy, definitely incorporate those incenses, those smells, and those elements in with any of the spells that you might do, or just to have them around. In Wiccan tradition, the three stars in Orion's belt represent the divine feminine and the three forms of feminine, starting with the maiden, the mother, and then the crone form. Um, sorry, I've been working with this cold for about 2 weeks now, and it's just so the Lion's Gate. It's a spiritual tradition. Um, the opening of the Lion Gate reflects the best time to manifest your dreams and your desires and to just heal deeply, deep within yourself, to forgive yourself so you can love yourself completely, which is the most important thing to be able to release and let go and to be able to move forward with an open mind and less burden on yourself. And this is peaking again on the 8th of August, which is 8-8. And that has its own profound numerological, oh my God, why can't I say that word today? Meaning. And we'll talk about that in a minute again. Sirius is also known as the dog star, and it is located in the because it is located in the constellation Canis Major. So this 2-week alignment is also known as the dog days of summer. And in folklore, it's an ominous period. It was said that in ancient times it was thought to bring drought and heavy storms that brought flooding, bad luck, wildfires, anything like that. Animals and people were said to go mad. So we are seeing a lot of this happening in the world today. Pretty much the whole west of um, the United States is on fire. This is usually the hottest and most humid and really the most uncomfortable time of the year, days of the summer. And it's also, you know, we're seeing these wildfires coming up because out west there's no humidity as much and it's not raining as much. So they're getting all the wildfires, but then on here on the East Coast, we're getting the floods and all that. So there's just so much going on in with um, the elements and also the wildfires getting brought on by just the windy conditions that are going on, which we are seeing everywhere, even in Europe. Just wildfires happening. It seems like the world is on fire right now. It seems like everything is just coming to a head. There's fires, floods, all sorts of things going on right now. As far as like people and animals going mad. We're seeing animals attacking. There's been that bison attack that I'm sure a lot of you have seen by now. I'm reading about bear attacks, alligator attacks, all sorts of things. So if your pets are acting squirrely, that could be why. This is the dog days of summer is completely different energy from what's happening simultaneously with the Lionsgate being open. But this year, due to all the other active astrological events that are going on around it, it can take on that different tone, one of almost immediate, like something needs to be done immediately, and necessity. Okay, Pick's going to stand on my quartz here that we're talking here. Hi, Picky. Um, so there is an evolution on the horizon, and we need to be open and we need to be ready. We talked about this in past videos with the Barbo's belt, um, how we are being almost groomed for what's to come and being prepared. And those who are going to be welcomed into this new type of life have to have that open mind, able to accept those downloads and able to accept what Uranus is trying to tell us while it's in the sign of Gemini. Um, the moon peaked to fullness on the 29th, and that was in the sign of Aquarius, and that was the collective society. That is what Aquarius is all about, and that is at its peak. So with Saturn having station retrograde just before that on the 26th, um, and I can link that video above, and all these videos I'll put in the comments so you can check them out if you haven't already. And the nodes changing signs into the Aquarius Leo axis. So it's moving away from that individualness and towards that outward harmony. So moving away from that Leo, that being, self-centered, that egotistical, and moving towards maybe being a little bit more caring about your fellow man. So a little less hate and a little more love to spread around. Um, so moving away from that individualism towards a more outward harmony for those in the society around us. But first, you need to clear yourself, and you need to get rid of that self-deprecating tendency that you have and find self-love. Stop getting on yourself about things that you might have done in the past that you might have regrets for. You have to accept and then release. um, so this again, um, so the outer planets also play a big role. So we talked about that with the Barbo's basket. So we have Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto still in about those 4 degrees formation. Kind of like I said, the locking arms and support to give us that what we need to the support that we need to build ourselves up to get rid of and kind of a protection as well. So this yearly phenomenon with this Lionsgate portal opening is so much more because of all this other that's going on, and it gives us the perfect excuse to really just kind of try and take some time, try and just to find some release, to find some calm, because things could be a little bit crazy right now. Like mentally, you could be feeling overwhelmed, emotionally overwhelmed, and that could have a lot to do with Thor's hammer, which I talked about how the gate was pretty much open with Thor's hammer. So Thor's hammer is an astrological aspect pattern that consists of a square between 2 planets and 2 sesqui-squares. Um, to those planets from an apex planet. So that sesqui square, I know I don't talk about those very much, but it's a 135-degree aspect, and it has similar traits to that of a square or a semi-square. So the square in this Thor's hammer is Venus and Mars. So we're seeing how that square built, and then it's going to keep that energy going on. And that was at the 21st degree of their sign. So Venus is in Virgo, already not super comfortable. The Mars in Gemini, wanting to get information out, just gung ho, like I need to know things. This is at the 21st degrees, and the moon is the apex planet, um, that sesquiquadrant planet that both Venus and Mars are. And that moon is in 6 degrees of Aquarius. And that was, of course, during the full moon in Aquarius. So um, this was near exact. I think this is what makes it so important. Um, at the time of the full moon, it was within, the moon was in 3 minutes of Venus and 4 minutes of Mars in the same, in the degree, but only just minutes away, micro minutes, 3, 4, that's very, very tight. And this aspect pattern can lead to a lot of, like I said, intense emotions having to do with, because it is the moon at the apex planet, has to do with family and home conflicts, um, that type of thing. This can feel, it can feel really all consuming. It could be something that becomes like, it gets on a life of its own and just seems to take over. And you can find a lot of difficulty because it's so big and built up in your head and built up maybe in your family members' heads that are asking for this help. Difficulty in balancing these needs for others with our own needs, and your needs are pretty much getting taken a back seat. And that is that Venus in Virgo, where you know you have to do these things, and Virgo is that kind of that worker bee that just buzzes around and does his job, and that becomes pretty much its life, and that's what it does. Venus in Virgo has a little bit of difficulty there because she wants more freedom, she wants more balance, she wants more fairness. And when it doesn't seem fair and when it seems like it's off kilter like this, you may be a little bit overwhelmed. It could take a lot of patience, um, but that can be exhausting. And I know patience is a virtue, and I know myself, I have a lot of trouble with it, and I've been going through a lot of this stuff, and it has been difficult. And I know a lot of people around me that are going through similar things, and it has been difficult. You may feel like you just can't do it anymore. It's like I can't have all this responsibility. But it's best to try and find positive ways to really ease the tension before you, that Mars and Gemini, really just kind of blow and just go off and maybe yell at somebody, when they don't deserve it, just because you're having trouble, um, because everything just seems to be so much at this time. But you can't also be afraid to express how you feel when it starts becoming too much. You have to express your feelings as well, to find that balance that Venus so desperately needs and loves. Um, so you want to try to calm yourself before you do fly off the handle. So we discussed this already in the Saturn retrograde video, um, about how we may be forced to take on more and more, something that's really beyond our control, responsibilities, commitments, things that, were kind of forced upon us, whether we want to or not. It's just kind of like, okay, I have to step on up and I have to do this here. Um, so, especially again within the family and within our home lives, we could really see this where we have to step up and really just kind of be that person that, takes the reins and leads. Um, but you also could be struggling with, like, am I doing all that I can? Am I doing enough? Am I not being compassionate enough? Am I not? So second guessing yourself is another thing that Venus in Virgo does, kind of that questioning, that nitpicking of yourself, of the care that you're giving, of the love that you're giving. What makes Thor's hammer aspect even more dynamic is that it's topped off by the Sun and Jupiter conjunction. Because remember, if the apex planet is, um, the moon, this was on the day of the full moon, so the Sun would be opposite, and it was conjunct Jupiter. So um, that is really amplifying these feelings that you might have, taking that frustration really and putting it up to a tipping point, just slamming that hammer down. And you could feel like that's what you want to do, just slam that hammer down and just be like, enough. It's an uprising though of wills crashing into our relationships, and when our emotions boil over, sometimes we feel like we just need to act. But this is the energy that was going on when the Lion's Gate opened. So the Lion's Gate then opens our minds and our consciousness if we let it. It encourages us to embrace the power of 8 8 of the eight. Eight represents the cycles of life, power and balance and ambition, the symbol of infinity and an unending spiral, rhythmic comic flow that's going along. Eight is the mystery of the eternal. So it's that divine mystery, and it's very, again, prophetic in the Bible, because that is that, you live, so your life, and then you die, and then you come back. So that is that kind of figure eight. That's just that eternal life, um, up and down, and just kind of, going with the waves. So upright and on its side, it's the heavens and the earth. So pointing up, just like, we say in astrology, as above, so below. Eight is also a number of power. It's power and recognition, and it's ruled by the planet Saturn. So you know what Saturn likes. Saturn likes hard work, and Saturn is also a planet of karma. So with all this going on, we're keeping in the back of our minds, especially with Saturn being retrograde, we're thinking, okay, so if this is these additional responsibilities that we're taking up, are we putting our all into it? Like I said, you might be asking yourself these questions. You might be second guessing yourself. Um, when it comes to like that responsibility, am I being kind enough? Am I doing enough? Is there more that I could be doing? Am I taking on as much as I possibly can? Or am I putting everything off on somebody else? So with Saturn, it's also that planet of karma. So if you haven't been doing and being that, having that righteousness, things could come back, as kind of a karmic lesson to kind of bite you in the ass. Um, let's say this is just an example since we're talking about family. Let's say it's a relative that's really sick and maybe in a nursing home, and you're the only one that's going to visit, um, because everyone else doesn't have enough time. And so maybe they change their will, so you get everything. So you get that recognition, and you get that, um, kind of that positive benefit for it. So you get that reward. Um, if you put in the responsibility, if you put in that work, just like that's what Saturn is looking for you to do. It's looking for you to put in that work, and you will be rewarded for it. And then the other people in the family don't get shit because they didn't put in the work, they didn't put in the love and the care. So it's our responsibility to take that symbolism of the Lion's Gate and its ability towards its spiritual awakening that we can experience, that infinite potential again, that something that we can maybe even grasp to heal ourselves and clear our karmic debt. So if there are things from your past that are bothering you, look towards that, the South Node that's in the sign of Leo. Have you been selfish? Have you been, um, too prideful, maybe too egotistical, narcissistic? Those kind of the shadow side of Leo. And is that the karmic debt that you're about to face? So if you have that, you want to almost face it and really, um, if that's holding you back and that's keeping you down, you need to get rid of it. You need to atone. If you feel like you need to apologize to somebody, I've talked about in prior videos how this could be a time for like a 12-step program, a personal mind and body 12-step program to clear your mind of all that's hovering over you and causing you to feel like I'm not worthy of this. And once you get rid of that, it enables us to really evolve completely. Um, Eight is that number of evolution. It's that number of, rising to that next life and transformation. So you think of symbolism in the Bible where Jesus dies and then rises again. That is that eight, that evolution, transforming, being able to go and rise into the heavens. So you want to look for signs along the way because they'll be popping up when you least expect it. Double eights, triple eights, um, these, and even like 1111. I've been seeing that quite a bit, and even the fours, because don't forget we do have Barbo's basket that is in the fours of their sign. So these could be signs from your higher self trying to tell you something. So the veil between is very thin. So you want to harness that energy and really just, if something from the other side is trying to tell you something and, is showing you numbers or giving you signs in that way, that's what you want to be able to open your mind and accept that, not be clouded by the judgment of yourself or judgment of others. The phenomenon of it, uh, so Jupiter and Leo will amplify everything that's going on, this phenomenon, and being conjunct the sun, that rises alongside of Sirius, it just really is going to um, amplify it. But at first, it might take a little bit. Why? Because when Jupiter is conjunct the sun, or any planet is conjunct the sun, it's considered under the sun's beams, kind of dimming its light a little bit because the sun kind of dims it. So as the sun and Jupiter move apart, it starts to grow and it starts to amplify it. You could probably already feel it starting to happen because we're about a week in or so till next Wednesday. So we have time still, and it's peaking on the 8th. Like I said, today's the 4th when I'm filming this. So later this week, we're going to be coming to a peak. So try and really just harness this energy. Jupiter is opposite the moon, though. So again, this could be really making our emotions overwhelming and just, feeling like you're just going to explode. And that is normal. So, going through the process can be a difficult one and can be an extremely emotional um, event. So, to harness the energy of the portal, you want to keep a clear mind. And again, that's meditation, that's a focus on the energy or whatever you wish to, you know, energize and amplify. So what your dreams, your desires, your hopes for yourself. Like I hope I can handle this X situation. I hope that I can really cultivate my relationships. Whatever you're trying to um, evolve within yourself, try and just meditate on. Um, if it's with family and career, it just might be that profound spiritual awakening that you need, that can get you through the tough times, that can get you through when you just feel like you can't do anything more and you're just exhausted. But something, maybe even just seeing those, an 888 on a license plate in front of you could just be like, okay, my angels are with me and they're guiding me and they're giving me a little bit of assistance here, and just feel that inner peace. So Jupiter um, can help providing that divine growth that we need as it's moving out of those sunbeams. The support that we receive from the outer planets as well, locking arms around us, giving us that support. Uranus is our ideas, Neptune is our ideals, and Pluto is that transformation, is that evolution. So, what to expect again is that this can be emotionally draining as we wash away our sins of the past. Again, it's facing those, accounting for those, and then letting go of those. Your mind is just going to be on overdrive. You could already be feeling this as well with restless sleep going on. I know I've been feeling that a lot. I just seem like I'm dreaming. My dreams are just nonstop and almost like they're just arduous. They're tiring. My dreams are making me tired. So when I wake up, I'm still tired. Try and keep your mind open to what they're trying to tell you, what the universe is trying to transmit to you. Focus on letting go, clearing out before you can accept what the gate is trying to provide. So you're really not going to get the most out of it unless you let go of all, like I said, the things that are holding you back, making you feel like you're not worthy and you're not good enough. So before bed, maybe relax your mind a little bit. Find times of stillness throughout the day, just like something like this. So love coming out here and just sitting with the sun, just kind of peeking through as it starts to sunset, just peeking through the trees. And this is like my happy space. It's just beautiful. It's quiet. I got Pickle with me running around. Chili didn't want to come. She's kind of been achy lately, and so I'm worried about her, but hopefully she'll be coming up in the next video. Um, but you could also use things like crystals like this. So this, my giant quartz here, a mystery in of itself, can really help amplify um, when you feel ready, amplify this energy and this activity that the Lionsgate portal provides. So that's why I'm making that video here to kind of show you what I do to kind of decompress a little bit and to kind of amplify that energy to bring in those downloads that, maybe the universe is trying to give me. It's definitely making Pico crazy. And talk about, animals going mad. He's going wild. Um, so expand your mind with these things, with that Jupiter, and let it connect beyond the veil. This can give you the ability to accept the truth about ourselves, the truth about society, and really the world and the universe around us. Accept that higher guidance. Um, Again, with everything that's going to be coming out, with so much going on, especially with um, the portal closing, with um, the solar eclipse, a lot of information is going to be coming out. We've already had a lot of information. A lot of us don't want to hear it, especially with like what Fauci said, and we don't want to believe that we could have been lied to. But this is the things that we have to accept. And it's like, okay, now how do I move on from here? How do I move on that maybe I was lied to, that maybe things weren't as they appeared? Um, so accepting that higher guidance that's guiding us to grow and change along with it. So life as we know it can begin its transformation once we let those barriers down, and what we that was once illusion becomes reality, and it starts coming in to fill you with that potential, that infinite potential that you have in this life to go towards that north node, to go towards your destiny, what you're destined for. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and let me know your plans for the Lionsgate portal in the comments. I'd love to hear your comments. I love to hear anything you guys have to say. I appreciate every single one of them and everyone for viewing, liking, all of that. Um, what are your plans for harnessing this energy? Are you someone that loves using um, stones, incenses? Like, what do you do to find that part of peace so that you can open your mind? So if you did enjoy this video, please like and subscribe, and definitely hit that bell, because then you won't miss a thing. We have lots of fun videos coming out. It really helps the channel to grow, and just like Jupiter and the Sun conjunction. So let's really just manifest this happy day and just open up to our infinite potentials. So we are aiming to achieve our true heart's desire with this. So do what you can and harness its energy and go forward with confidence in yourself, peace in your mind, positive words, love in your heart, and like I said, confidence in yourself and knowing that you are worth it. Talk to you soon. Bye.